In a standard Avery Ranch backyard, Lisa LaPaso and Cavin Weber pack in a cornucopia of delicious scents, food, and colors. As the garden grew, so did sons Cavin and Zachary, exploring all its senses. Although rich in diversity, it's miserly on water.
I wanted to create a xeriscape that was actually really lush. Edible was a big part of it as well. So we started with the fruit trees. I have 9 different fruit trees, of course blackberries, raspberries, grapes, and then we filled in from there with a combination of edible plants and color and flower, and of course evergreen components so that there was something going on all year. We had to bring in all our own soil. We had that yucky sandy loam that the builders put down.
Right.
So we brought in at least 20 yards initially of compost. And then every spring we bring in truckload of compost and compost the beds. And then I compost every spring and mulch every fall. And so it keeps that nice deep layer of organic matter, which is essential,
Right.
I think, to any garden
So
success.
now if you dig down, you're no longer hitting that builder's clay.
Yeah, what used to be the clay.
You-
Well, we had the
it
hard
continues to-
black clay,
yeah.
and the whole back half of the property is limestone. So now it's real rich, and I call it my chocolate cake.
Chocolate cake,
You
right.
know, if you hold it tight and it stays in a form, but you touch it and it just kind of crumbles apart, all delicious.
She divvied up the space into borders, beds, and coves. A dry creek bed captures and disperses rainwater on the sloping grade. Lisa chose pea gravel for the central walkway.
I typically wouldn't recommend pea gravel because it's very fluid. The smaller the rock, the more that it moves. But I actually like the textural interest with that. I wanted to create a sensory garden. So having children with autism, there's challenges anyway. My eldest is much higher functioning Asperger's. My youngest son had pretty severe disabilities: sight, sound, smell, touch, taste.
Yeah.
Confederate jasmine's glorious perfume scents the garden for months in spring. Tidy evergreen leaves enfold a meditation space.
And that's what it was intended for, is to be a secret little spot that you could kind of slip away. I designed around it where there's actually higher plants on the side, so you're kind of just in that green space. It was just meant to be peaceful, so someplace to sit. Those stones weigh 300 pounds each on either side. That took 4 guys to get those back here. I think rocks have energy. It sounds crazy or not, but they do. They absolutely tell a story. We're fascinated. And so Cavin brought these big crazy rocks home, and then we thought, well, what we're going to do with it? And I thought, well, what a great idea to make a bench out of it. So he actually has 3.
Our Flintstone benches is what
Yeah.
we call them. Plus, it's a great place to sit.
I love
You
seating
always
areas.
need places
Yeah.
to sit in this yard. There's always something to see. So
And different
more
perspectives.
places.
So having all those little spaces throughout the place takes you to that space.
Correct.
You're inclined to go that way. I think a real common mistake is people just have a patio with a table on it and no seating area anyplace else in their garden. So, for example, that bench there, my coral bean, the hummingbirds come at dusk, and they're just all over it. So you sit there, perch yourself, and watch the view, and so each bench kind of has a different story behind it.
Selecting furniture and accents for the box seat patio view, Lisa integrated its color scheme with the garden.
Color is a really tricky area for a lot of people, I think, because there are what I call heavy colors, red being one of them, that really draw the eye. So I just make a really concerted effort going through the space of, that is one that, again, I use the word anchor, I guess. You can pull whatever color you want around those spaces. So whether it be your art, the cushions on your chair, the color of the flower. My mom, Carol Maize, is an amazing designer in and of her own rights. She does interior design and plant design. So she does interior plantscape, basically. But her forte is taking nothing and making it into something really spectacular. So lucky for me, I inherited those good genes, from both sides of my parents, with the artistic component. But she also has a brilliant eye for color. And when I was a kid, I really didn't realize how much of that I was soaking in, and fortunately it has played beautifully with my landscape design as well.
As our plant collection grew, Lisa's lawn dwindled. Its circular remains offer a sensory break.
We have 2 dogs.
Oh, yeah.
And they love the yard. And people feel like they have to have grass for the dogs, and animals really don't care.
For shade breaks in this small garden, Lisa planted fruit trees.
Nectarines, 2 peach trees, a pomegranate, two pears, plum, an apple tree.
Luscious raspberries clamber near a den window, herbs and flowers at its feet. Plump blackberries adorn the fence. Thankful wildlife quickly zoomed in on this oasis.
So it is set up to be a certified space for animals and creatures. What's nice is this is our kitchen, living room, and bedroom windows.
Mm-hmm.
This space looks onto. So when it's too hot to be out here, we're still able to enjoy.
I think the pond is also a good example
Yes.
of what makes it a sanctuary, because the birds come for water and
They
cleaning
bathe.
and bathing.
Yeah.
The
so
fish
cute.
keep the mosquitoes out and keep it
Yeah.
clean.
We had tomatoes last year coming out of your ears, and
Yep, not one.
not a stink bug, because the birds would come and feed them to their babies.
It all just works itself out.
It really did.
It's where the best thing of never using pesticides or
Correct.
chemicals it's created its own ecosystem.
Thanks to compost and mulch, the garden's abundance doesn't wear out the water hose.
If you're using the right plants,
That's right.
once they're established after that first year, they're really independent. In fact, I did videos of the drought at the worst point a couple years back when we went all those days with 100-degree temperatures and no rain whatsoever, and the yard was spectacular.
Lisa's playful touches never need watering. Colorful kinetic sculptures were designed by her internationally renowned father, Jim LaPaso.
A lot of the art was designed by my father, who's Jim LaPaso, and he does kinetic sculpture, and we're quite fortunate to have inherited a few of his beautiful
Yes.
pieces.
The side yard's tempo calls for a slow journey of perusal.
That's the grand entrance. I mean, that's where you come in, and that's where the whole experience begins. So
First
it was-
impressions are everything, right?
And it wasn't even the first impression, because we're really the only ones back here. To me, it was that it was a welcoming, soft space. It felt like a hug to me. I mean, it really did. I came back here, and the first thing I feel is just this really beautiful, warm embrace.
Her father designed the gate. Cotoneaster frames the entrance arbor.
It just put out this one arm, and I thought, I'll be darned if he's not trying to tell me, hey, put me here. So I let him do his thing, and I started weaving it, and now it's to the top of the arbor.
In front, they kept a curving strip of lawn to offset vivacious perennials.
When we moved here, you had to have 75% lawn.
That's a good point.
And I'm very proud that Avery, with some, determination by myself and another gardener, made that transition with the help of the HOA, and it's now 25% lawn and 75% xeriscape.
That's it, yeah.
So the moment they made that change, boy, we got out there and just took the whole front yard out. And so we ended up with this goofy, where their beds originally were, this little triangle space that didn't make sense. And I had that rock laying in the back, and I said, you know what, that thing was just perpendicular to the ground. It would just be a really cool sculpture. So Cavin grabbed that big baby and stuck it in the ground. It's actually about this much deeper.
For Lisa, sparing water doesn't mean sacrificing wildlife, sensory joys, and homegrown food.
And now, of course, Avery's doing it. A lot of the
Right.
other neighborhoods are following suit with the drought-tolerant plants, native and adapted plants.
She was far ahead of her time. Before conservation was cool, Lisa was practicing and preaching.
A lot of preaching.